This is what's interesting to me, is that you have the blue hair, you go against the red pill, all of this stuff. I don't believe for a second that you're not a head of household in your own house. I don't. You don't have an energy. It seems to me that if I had to make a guess, I would say that you are the head of household in that house.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so why so triggered then? You seem
because
triggered.
My relationship with my partners is always collaborative. Like, I'm head of household, but like, you better fucking believe that Melina, my wife, is included in every single decision I make. Like, she chose the last like 3 apartments that we went to because where we lived was really important to her. I didn't really care as much, right? So I might be head of household just by virtue of the fact that I make more money, but she's like determining like most of our vacations. She's determining where we live. Oftentimes she's making plans for like us going out and doing stuff. Like, so I'm head of household
because
in terms of how we
you
file
don't care,
taxes.
though. Because those are things that aren't important to you. But if there was something that was equally important to you and her, odds are that somebody would have to ultimately pull the trigger on that decision, and odds are that would be you.
Maybe, but like, if it's a thing that we like have a huge disagreement on, that's probably going to be the end of the relationship. If there's like if I'm like, I want kids, and she's like, I don't, and I'm like, okay, well, but like,
hopefully you would have figured that out before.
Sure, but can you give me an example? Like, what's a decision that I'm making at her like? She's like, oh no, not that. Like, what could ever be? I can't even think of one, and I would consider myself a head of household.
I can't speak to that. I don't know anything about your relationship.
Because I think that generally the domain of like what men and women are interested in tends to be a bit different when it comes to household decisions.
Yes.
So this idea of like the man is making the final say, like on his route to work. Yeah, of course.
That's why I feel like a lot of the reaction to red pill is like a triggered emotional reaction, when in reality, the way that this would play out in a household would actually be quite easy. For example, women oftentimes will care more about the furniture that gets bought or the decor, and guys don't care. So they're going to just naturally be like, babe, whatever you want to do, whatever you think looks great. I think that just naturally happens. The triggered people, the reason people go nuts is because they hear that word head of household and they're like, well, no, it's an equal partnership.
The reason why that's so ridiculous. But the reason why people get triggered is because it's set up as this hierarchical structure where a man is better and superior and where women is follower and submissive. That's why. And then that structure is enforced through a lot of different paradigms. Not just if you were to just say, because if you were to say this, if I were to make the statement that men and women have, what I just said, have different interests in what goes on in the household, and in some cases the woman is absolutely the head, right? The man is probably not going to be calling her from like work and saying like, you better get the right groceries today or I'm going to kick your ass, right? And the woman's not calling the man and she's like, I don't want you going to work 5 minutes early, right? They tend to have different domains of interest just because of responsibilities. Agreed. I don't think anybody's getting triggered by that. I think they're like, yeah, that's probably true.
But better and superior, like you said, men are better and superior. Better and superior at what? Like you're better and superior at different things.
Because when we talk about this difference between masculine and feminine, the masculine traits are all cool, awesome, amazing things that honestly everybody wants, and the feminine traits are like, Ken takes care of kids, and then a whole bunch of negative shit.
I find that really demeaning. I'm
That's
be
great
honest
that
with
you do.
Here's why, though. Yeah. Here's why. Because to me,
keep in mind that whatever you're about to say, you're taking me as a strong, proud, masculine, working woman that has a show and is doing really well.
What I find, if somebody asked me like, what is your biggest strength, and I had to answer that question, it's my empathy and the fact that I'm nurturing as all hell. Those are the two things that I will be able to bring to this table, and I believe, in the vast majority of cases, better than any man that no man is going to match that for me. And I believe a lot of that does come from my biology. And I believe that a lot of women are hardwired to be much better nurturers than men, to be much more empathetic, to be much more tender with their children, with their families. So to me, that is a strength. What I think is that we have been trained as a society to view things the way you just said them, that all of these things that men do are really amazing and everybody wants. And all of these things that women do are secondary in the hierarchy. The reason we've been trained to see it that way. They're not better what the guys are doing. They're just different.
When you think of masculine traits and you're like strong, honorable, provider,
but no, hold
takes
on.
Care of it, like
strong is biology. That's a reality.
But
men
both
are stronger.
people can be strong.
Men are physically stronger than women.
I don't care. I've met women that can't carry groceries, and then I've met women that are more. Jesus, have you seen Marjorie Taylor Greene? Can I give a shout out to this crazy fucking conservative woman? She's insane.
You're
but oh my God, she is so strong.
You're talking about one.
I understand. But most of the women that I've dated, I think almost every woman I've dated, because I don't think I could handle one otherwise, is one that can take their suitcase and put it on the top thing of the plane. Yeah. Okay? There are women that won't even carry a thing because they think they're too weak.
The point is that
it is exactly the point.
Men are stronger physically than women.
I agree with you, but you're uttering a pointless statement.
But that's not female weakness.
Here's the problem:
that's not a sign of
people will
weakness.
take that statement. Men are stronger than women, and then from there they'll go, women ought to be weak. That's the problem.
I don't hear anybody saying that.
Men and women will never be as strong on average as men, not even close, but women can still aspire to strength the same way that men can aspire to strength.
Of course, that's why you see women in the gym.
So it doesn't have to be you, but like
course.
even look at how we engage in the gym. Men go and they lift weights, and women go and they do 52 different machines and are cardio bunnies. Right?
Listen, that's not what I do in the gym. That's not what any women I see doing in the gym, to be honest with you.
Hold on. Are you going to tell me that men and women go to the gym for the same things in general?
Also, can I tell you?
Okay.
That's their choosing then.
No, it's not. We're all
in the same way that you see women going into the gym and they're doing mostly lower body weights because we don't like to lift heavy stuff with our arms.
Every woman likes to lift heavy stuff with their arms when they start doing it. All of them do.
I do it and I don't like it. So it's not true.
Every woman that I've ever met that started to, no woman wants to be weak. Nobody likes that. And no
it's
woman.
It's not about being weak though.
It is about being weak.
It's about a view of like we're supposed to be competing with men.
You don't have
You're
to compete
never
with men.
going to be happy doing
when you
that.
go to the gym, you're not there to compete with anybody else but yourself. Even for men, that's
you're
true.
You're presenting it as these are all the things that are male, that society tells you are male, and these are all the best things. And I'm telling you, no. That is a paradigm that exists when you have women wanting to compete with men and saying, oh, but guys are doing X, Y, and Z, and I need to be doing X, Y, and Z just like guys, when in fact women have a whole bunch of attributes that men can't do as well as we can that we don't treasure. Men are not as nurturing as women.
They
Men cannot have
can be though.
They're not.
They absolutely can be. When you talk about things like being a leader, leadership requires empathy. It requires understanding. Requires your ability to work with different people and to take into account all the things that they want and need. It's probably one of the most like interpersonal, communicative, like feminine roles ever. Like to some extent, you set an example, sure, but it's your ability to manage people that sets you apart as a leader versus anybody else.
Women and men will lead differently.
They might, but I'm just saying that, like, even in a role that's considered traditionally masculine
trait.
Leadership. Didn't you literally say earlier in the show that like men want to be leaders is like a masculine trait?
In the household, I'm talking about being head of household.
So in society, you think men and women have the same proclivity for leadership?
I think but again, like you're using the word leader, but again, like men and women approach those things very, very differently. So it's just you can't like correlate the two. I
mean, I disagree. Like even on this, for Ali, I say this all the time, and I would say it for you too. Like you guys you champion these like traditional gender roles, but I've had a lot of arguments and conversations. You're like very combative in a good way. I like that. It's fun, but like that's something that people consider like, oh, this is like a masculine thing. But you're more combative and better at it than like probably 99% of men on the planet, right? And I think Ali is too. So like these are traits that are considered by, I think, I won't say your communities, but like by red pill communities is like these are only masculine traits and women shouldn't do them, but women can do them if they're socialized for it. The same way that men can be socialized to be nurturing and kind.
Women absolutely can, but right. But what I'm saying is there are things like you and I may disagree about this, but there are things that are intrinsic. When I talk about majority of men and majority of women, I'm an outlier, right? Okay. And I have a very weird life because I'm very kind of like alpha here and then I go home and I'm not at all. So it's almost like I live it too. And many women do that. Like they talked about, it was an interesting story about Beyonce and Jay-Z that came out about like, can two alphas be in a relationship? Somebody cited them and they were like, well, you don't know how Beyonce is at home. You know, you can be somebody at work and somebody very different in the dynamic of your relationship. I happen to be one of those people. But I think, I don't even remember where I was going with this. What did you say to me that I was going on a tangent about something I was going to answer?
And you're like, true, women can aspire to masculine traits and they ought to because that's just so good.
That's not what I said. It's just
I agree
different.
With you 100%.
It's just a very different.
I don't think it's that different. I think it's a little different.
Maybe people would say to me, like maybe there are people that would say, oh, Jed's masculine because she's sitting at the mic and doing X, Y, and Z. I think for me, it's that there's been a lost appreciation for the things that are unique to womanhood. Like I think femininity is beautiful. I think that the ability to bear a child and carry that baby in your womb is beautiful. I think it's a superpower that guys can't do. I think it should be elevated. What I don't want to hear is, oh, these are all things that men can do and these are all the really cool things. No, that's not true. Those are the cool things if you're a woman trying to be a man. If you're a man trying to be a woman, then you're going to be like, oh, well, I need to figure out how to have a baby and I need to figure out how to be nurturing. It's just not a good
I feel like I'm the only one with relationship experience or hookup or pickup experience when I hear you say things like that in this whole community. Because like as a man who picks up women, the easiest way to get a woman, is to show some of your feminine side. If I get into a woman's apartment and she's got like either a kid or like a cat or a dog, and you've got a guy that you respect and he picks up your fucking animal, he's like, oh, she's like, oh my God, let it go. It's like the number one way to a woman's heart. And everybody knows it. If you've got a woman and she sees a man with kids, bro, when I go to the park with my son when he was younger and I'm around like all these single moms and they see me like picking up and like playing with Nathan and I'm like running around with my shoulders, it's like they're dripping wet. Women love to see guys and their feminine nurturing energy energy doing things that are like traditionally female things. Absolutely
guys
they do.
don't.
The idea that men that are feminine, you guys think that. And all you think are like men that are screaming and screeching like me on this show, right? But men can totally show nurturing, kind things where they're hanging out with kids, and women love that shit.
They can show those things, but when somebody who is a strong man, who has a strong masculine presence, spends time with his children, he's doing it as a strong man with a strong masculine presence. The reason that appeals to women is not because he's feminized, is because he's not feminized, because he's in that space like a man, which is very unique and distinct from the way I would spend time with my children and what energy I would exude doing that. So you're talking about picking up a cat, but you're not picking up a cat the way I'm picking up a cat. And if you
is there really that much of a difference?
Yes, if you were all like, oh, goo goo gaga, oh, she'd be out of there in 2 seconds.
Women love that shit. Are you serious?
Listen,
of course they do.
I don't know who you're dating, honey, but
same thing with your kids too. Do you think when I go to the park with my 6-year-old son, I'm like, get out of there, Nathan, go play. I'm like at the top of the slide. I'm like, time to face your fears. I kick him off. I'm like, if mom was here, she'd have you go down the slide. I'm making you jump off it, Nathan. And all the women are like, oh my God, that's so masculine. I love it.
This is silly. If you like the short clip and want to watch another short clip, click here. Or if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.